Okay, hello guys. Again,
Hi
Hello
Hugo,
guys,
hi Goran.
hi Mo, hi Antonio.
Rhino Duck and Night. So let's start. I'm gonna share my screen.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see my screen?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay. So today actually we're going to do last time we did solid operation with solid modeling technique. So you guys actually pretty much learn everything pretty much. Have you tried transform actually? We tried some transform also, yeah? Like a twist, bend.
no,
No, we
Um,
didn't. Okay,
no.
no, no.
let's try a bit of transform and then we move on sub D tool and
Mm-hmm.
that's it. And then maybe we can try a bit of material settings. Then Rhino part is done actually.
Oh, great.
Such a simple. But I'll make one box here. I mean, it's a really big part, but we can we don't have to use all the tool. We can just use for only architecture and structure and MEP part here. The rest is. So I'll just move this one box here. Let's say there is transform. It's quite interesting tool. What you can there are so many, but generally I use a lot of scale tool. Scale 3D, 2D, 1D. So scale 1D, it means you can scale. You can define the direction from first point and second point, and that's your vector to scale. Okay, let me try again.
Mm-hmm.
Scale 1D. So I'll choose the vector from here to this direction, and you can see this growing somehow scale, but in that vector direction. Yeah. Does it work? You understand? Yeah. Let me try
Yeah,
one more
yeah.
time. So the command on the scale transform, you have here scale. Here the scale tool, and we are doing scale 1D. So first point, second point, and we can scale one direction. There is scale 2D, is two direction basically. You can define base point, and then you can put reference point. I don't know, yeah, and then it grow two direction basically.
Mm-hmm.
And scale 3D actually I'm not really using this, but let's try base point, and then we can first reference point, let's say, and then it's just second. We can choose second reference point. Okay, it's kind of similar to scale 2D, but we can go first and then we can choose second reference point and it grows. Yeah, nothing much. I don't use that much. The most I use is actually scale 1D. I use this
Mm-hmm.
one and then basically I can scale. Like most of case I use this scale. Okay. Non-uniform scale and scale by plane, but I never use it, so we can ignore. Move we did, move vertical, move normal. I mean, it's really simple. You can try. Copy we did, rotate. Yeah, rotate. Rotation is you can choose, and like AutoCAD, you can rotate it. Yeah, where you want to go. Um, but there is Rotate 3D. If you press your mouse right button, you see there is Rotate 3D. Rotate 3D, you can set the axis. So my rotation axis I want to choose here, and based on that, this axis I want to rotate it like angle. Okay. You can type degree, like how many rotation you want to give, for instance, and hit enter, then it rotate. Okay. So let's rotate 3D. Mirror is like all the others are not very useful. I think. We'll do more this transform with the grasshopper, I guess. And what I'm gonna show you is twist. Have a look, twist. You can twist object from start and end. And then this is our, let's say, spine to twist object. And based on that, you can keep twisting if you want the geometry.
Okay.
I can turn off flash shading, then it's like kind of like columns in somewhere in the church. Yeah, I'll try again. Twist. This time I will set my backbone this axis and then twist it based on here. You see? You can twist. Let's try. You can twist as many as you want. Yeah, right. Okay. So that's the twist tool we done. So next one is bend. You can bend it. Again, you can set the spine, and based on that, if we go double click on the view, and you can choose, yeah, where to bend it, from here or there, from front view, right view, or even top view. So once you bend it, you have the banded object, basically. Okay, simple. So that's bending, and I think taper, and this is not that interesting. But what could be interesting for you guys is maybe I'm gonna scale 1D these guys, and I'll show you this bend. All this transform, we can choose more than one object. So if I say I want to bend it and select object, and I can choose my midpoint to there as a spine. As you can see, we can bend it even more than one object, and you can really make complex geometry. Okay, I'll undo. I'm also going to array, so let's make another box. So I'm gonna make box here. I'll make a grid snap somewhere. Didn't I show cage edit? I don't know. Let's say array. This is cage edit command here, but let's make 5 and y direction to another 5, z direction 2. I'll make it, and let's try again. Sorry, 5, 5, and 2 around this gap, and I'll make 2. That's all. We arrayed object like that, yeah. And we can select all of them, and I can make a cage edit. And I want to have bounding box, world coordinates, control point. It's fine for me to have 4, 4, 4. You can change maybe z. I want to have only maybe 1, and 2 is minimum. So enter. Then we have this cage. Yeah, this cage. Once you select this cage, we can move all the object from this cage. And if you want to move single object from cage, it will break the relationship. But what cage is interesting now here is that if you press F10, you get this control points of the cage, yeah. And now if I move this point up, you can see the.
I think that we last week finished our meeting with this option.
We did it, right? This cage edit.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You can really make some funny. So let's say it's just a kind of
Or some landscape.
you can design something really. So that's also some kind of transform object you can work on it. So let's skip this. Nice. So transform, I think the rest of them is not that interesting, so we can skip. I mean, sure, a lot of artists or other guys could make it more interesting geometry commands, but for us this is enough. Now we can move on. I'm gonna delete all of this. Let's look at sub D tool. So sub D is kind of new for Rhino 7, It wasn't available in Rhino 6, but before Rhino 7 there was a plugin called T-Spline for Rhino. It's one of the software Autodesk bought it and then killed it actually, or they implemented in Inventor or other software for Autodesk product, and basically killed this software called T-Spline. And this T-Spline is kind of reborn in Rhino 7 without any per charging plugin. So that's called sub-D. Okay. So sub-D is very interesting object. So let's have a look. You can create like a single face, sub-D face, by inserting, 3 or 4 points. If you insert 3 points and then hit enter, then that's the sub-D face. Let me try again. Yeah. And when you have sub this face, you can press tab key to convert between smooth mode and straight mode. Let's say you can toggle between them. Tab key in your keyboard, right?
Yeah, tab key. Okay, great.
Or otherwise, there are somewhere you can find the toggle button. I think this no. Actually, I already made a YouTube tutorial for sub-D. If you find my YouTube channel and if you go to let's say Rhino somewhere, and here there is a
What is a person's knowledge and experience actually worth? 20k a year?
so you can actually take a look this tutorial. There I have a lot more detail I explain about sub-D. And yeah, but today we're going to look at more basic stuff, not too much detail. But I think here, if you're interested in here, we can go even more detailed parts. So we can take a look. But for now, let's really start basic. So you can press tab key, and if you select sub-D object, and if you type what, you can see it's the element type is actually called sub-D, subdivision, sub-D. And what could be interesting, once you have this face, you can let's say I want to find append append face to sub-D, yeah, this command tool. When I click, then you can actually add more faces on this particular sub-D. I'll try again. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I can finish it. Flip, and you see, okay, they are not joined, but you can probably join them together. Join.
I try. By me, they're on my side. They are joined.
Yeah, there are probably option. I'll try again. Append face to sub-D. Select. Hit enter. Output is sub-D and interpolated no, polygon type none, n-gon. And yeah, it doesn't have that option, but at the end, you append means we keep appending the faces, yeah. And if you add more and more, at the end of command, you can actually it joined for me also. Let me try again. What happened? Append, yeah, makes sense to join actually. So I'll add one more faces and finish. Yeah, they are joined. Yeah, I don't know what happened before. So when you append, then you can keep adding the faces, yeah, which is cool. And now, remember when you hold your Control key and Shift key, you can select edge or point or faces. Okay. In sub-D, you can select. Let's select the face, and you can move it up. I'll turn off the grid snap. You can move it up a bit. And right now, we are looking at straight mode, but if you toggle to like soft mode, then you can see this form that is a little bit more organic shape, yeah. And the edge you can select also, and you can move it. You can also scale it if you want, the direction. So that's the typology, and you can keep select, for example, the point, and then when you press tab, you can see how the geometry change. Alright? So this append is like you can keep adding the face. We can keep going, like it's really good to actually select. And I can click vertex as a snapping option. And then I can add more faces here, for instance, and hit enter to finish. Then I have another face edited in this sub-D object. Okay. You may ask, then what is this really sub-D, and if can we convert to like NURBS surface? Yes, you can also convert it. I will just copy it here, and when you explode it, it doesn't. Unlike to surface, you cannot explode it. Yeah. If you have multiple surface, poly surface, when you type explode, it actually explodes single surface and the multi-surface as a single surface. But sub-D doesn't do it. So what we can do while we are in sub-D mode, we can say to NURBS. Okay, the command to NURBS. And NURB option, there are some options, and I press enter. Now, this is sub-D and this is NURBS surface. So when I toggle tab key, the sub-Ds are changing the geometry between straight mode to the smooth mode, but this poly surface doesn't change any typology. Yeah? Okay. And here we turned off this isocurved, so it doesn't show isocurve. When I turn it on, you can see the isocurves. And now we can also compare the curvature of this between NURB and sub-D. Let's have a look. When you go surface tool, and if you go to surface analysis, there is an environmental map. You can select these two objects and hit enter. And when you change this particular rendering, for example, fluorescent tube, we can see you can compare between NURBS and sub-D. You can see there are some difference, definitely. Very similar, they are very similar when you look at the reflection of the map. Very close, mostly, but still it's not exactly same, as you can see. Yeah. So there are some difference, but I don't know this tolerance between these two different geometry. I don't know how much big difference, but we can rationalize the prototype, and maybe we can penalize it. So you can imagine in this NURB, we can change to mesh. So there's command. I think NURB to sub-T, you can also to change to mesh. I think. No, there is no to mesh, unfortunately. Yeah, there is no converting to tool for the mesh. But let's say here this NURB we can convert to mesh. So the command, if you go standard, here on the mesh face here, this icon, we can click mouse right button. Click mouse left button, and you can change this NURB surface to mesh geometry. So let's go ahead, and I'm gonna click left, and I'll reduce the polygon as small. I mean, not many polygons. I'll make it minimum polygon numbers. When I change it, then this is NURBS. When you type what, this is poly surface, and when you type what, this is mesh. That's the difference between. Do you see? I can add mesh wires. Yeah. But Rhino 7, they have really amazing tool. I'm gonna copy this. I'll show you one thing. This is like when there's curvature, the mesh they becomes a bit denser, and it tessellate it triangular mesh instead of curved mesh here. Yeah?
Okay.
And we can unify this we can recreate this mesh structure to quad mesh. In Rhino 7 there's command called quad remesh. I think here quad remesh. On the sub-D tool the command was called quad remesh. This command becomes really interesting. I'll click, and we can control the number of target polygon number. I mean quad count number. I'll make it maybe 500, and we can see the preview actually, and that's like reconstructed you know, the let's say quad mesh, and we can also adopt like change the adaptive size, and you know we can go more complex options, or you can also set the edge length, make it to 1 meter, or even more detail. There are a lot more details. Like let's say I want to have every edge means this line. Yeah, I want to make it 30 centimeter. You can control them. But for now, I'm very happy the quad count 500 number, like 500 polygons, and I can hit OK. And if you see this mesh, which is like some part is triangulate, they reconstructed as a quad mesh, which could be very nice.
But he kept geometry, or he, as far as I can see, he's changed geometry a bit, or?
Yeah, it's the geometry changed a bit because
Okay.
because
He follow
the
mesh.
but if you give more quad count number,
Mm-hmm.
then we can get as close as original mesh. But I just simplified it, rationalized 500 quad polygon number. Yeah, that's why it's like this. But it is really interesting because if you, I don't know, in our case, in realistic case, maybe you can 3D scan bridge structure, existing bridge or something, and we get really like a dirty mesh, probably like something really complex mesh. We can re-engineer as clean as possible, like, you know, and we can send it to BIM software like such as Revit or ArchiCAD. That's the benefit of changing this typology, you know.
Yep.
Anyway, so sub-D, back to sub-D. Basically, you can just really play around it, but when you now we can maybe, instead of looking at every single faces, let's go to insert a simple box, sub-D box object or something. So we go directly, instead of adding surface, let's add, I'm gonna add here create sub-D box, and I can pick my base point. I'll snap the grid, and maybe I'll use 4 unit, and then I'll make another 2 meter, 3 meter as a box. Then this is sub-D box. You can convert between by straight mode and smooth mode by clicking on tab key. There must be somewhere we can see toggle between. Yeah, it doesn't really show somewhere, but it's not necessary. The shortcut is tab key. Okay. And now when you have this box, what could be interesting now, and I'll make it smooth mode, and I can select one of the edge with control, hold your control key and shift key, and then you can select edge, and you can move it. Let me remove the grid snap. You can move it, right? It's really nice. can make this kind of smooth geometry. You can also select multiple edge and you can move it if you want. Okay. You can select once more, and if you want to select the whole loop of this edge, you can double click on next one. Then you can select all of this, and now you can scale it a bit, for example, to make geometry. You can check from tab key to see.
And
Yeah, I can also turn off the shadow. And yeah, you can also select the point and you can move it up if you like. So you can convert between this polygonal shape to smooth shape to check which one you prefer for your design. Yeah, you can move it a bit here, and you can go really crazy geometry. I'll copy this to the next. But maybe your final result, you want to have like something like this kind of geometry, right? Instead of smooth geometry. But whenever, if you export, I don't know, let me check if I export as a 3D DWG file. DWG test sub-D. And when I export solid, and we can probably import here that DWG file in Rhino, but you get like not really the sub-D geometry. You Rhino export as a NURBS surface, poly surface, yeah. But what if you want to really have this geometry, right? Instead of the smooth geometry. That's the challenge. In this case, what I can suggest is, let me see, there was some kind of trick I used to use, but I think I kind of, maybe we can use software called Grasshopper, which we're going to try after this Rhino session, you know. Here we can reference geometry. I'll just show you. In this geometry, we can set this geometry, and Grasshopper already recognized this sub-D, which is smooth mode, yeah, already. And I think if you go sub-D command in Rhino, Grasshopper, let me find it from here. When we go to, there are so many, I made it. Where's sub-D going to locate? On the surface, we have this sub-D. There are many options, yeah? We can maybe check this sub-D control polygon. When I click, then that's give us mesh. Let me see in Rhino if we have this command sub-D control curl control polygon sub-D control point region. I cannot find the exactly same command what Grasshopper have, but once you have this, we know that this is mesh. Okay, so now this mesh sub-D, or we have here also mesh from sub-D. We can also use this, so we can give sub-D and we can change the density. But in this case, it gives you more like a smooth mesh, not this straight mode mesh. Yes. So the correct component we can use is the sub-D control polygon. When you have this, you can mouse right button, you can bake it to particular layer. Ignore this Grasshopper part. Once you have that mesh, then we know that this is mesh. this mesh element now we can convert to NURBS. Yeah, if you convert to NURB and option, there are some mesh options, and you can say different trim, triangular, blah blah blah. You can change, and when I convert, this is now the NURB surface of that particular geometry. So what I wanted to say is Rhino has surface and polysurface, and that we dealing with different degree of surface. It's called NURBS surface. Yeah? And then we have geometrical mesh, which is composite, like construct with the vertices, and then it creating edges each edges, when they merge it, then it create face. This is called mesh, typical mesh geometry. And then the another geometry we have is sub-D geometry. Okay, so it's a little bit complicated than other software, but you have different geometrical definition. So now, any question, guys? Very quiet.
Yeah.
Yeah, all clear.
Yeah.
Test it a little bit more to.
You lost a bit, Antonio?
No. I just need to have more experience in this, and
Mm-hmm.
then I can test it fully.
Yeah, it can be a bit confusing on the start, but
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
it's not easy. It's complex because you have to.
Mm-hmm. But let's think about, like, you forget about your profession as a structural engineer and also MEP engineer. Maybe let's say we are in the school and we are designing a dream car for ourselves. So car surface design, yeah. Everyone, I think, fascinated by car design, and in this case, sub-D could be really useful. So don't think about your building scale. Let's go down to really delicate car design case. And if you have such a tool, you can really keep going with the car body design, I think. So we can select the face, for example, here, and you can also move it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And another interesting tool here, when you click this point, you can extrude it from that point. Okay, extrude another face, which means you can keep extrude. Sorry, that I just moved it, but you can extrude it, yeah. And we can move it, I don't know, or you can rotate it.
Yeah.
Something interesting you can make it. But that is hidden tool, but you can select face, and for example here extrude sub-D, that's the same thing. You can extrude it to direction, like you can free direction, or you can make direction X, Y, Z. Yeah, for example, I specify X direction, and you can set the distance if you want. But I think it's this gumball is handy because you can just directly, choose it, and you can move. You can put it in. We can, once you extrude it, maybe you can scale it even. Yeah, and you can come in, out, extrude it in, out, in. You can make something very funny geometry here. Okay, I know it's maybe not very interesting shape, but there's difference between move and extrusion. Extrusion gives you another
another part of the
another package that you can work on it. Yeah.
And now you can edit also each of these.
Yeah.
surface
Yeah,
or
not
mesh part.
yeah, exactly. You can
Yeah.
select another face and extrude it again.
Yeah.
You can keep going this, and you can see this kind of geometry. Maybe if you're looking at this kind, yeah, it's not interesting. But let me go and create another box, sub-D box. In this case here, let's go to where is sub-D box? Here. I'm gonna make whatever, just make it, and I'll copy it. And let's say you can also bridge between them, between the face to face. So there is the command was called bridge. I think it should be somewhere here. Bridge mesh or sub D. When you click in here, you can select the first phase to bridge and second phase to bridge. And when you hit enter, first step, sorry. Again, first phase enter, and then second phase enter, and you can bridge them, and you can add more segment if you want, and you can change the smoothness. You see, you can change this straightness of the bridge, and I think 3 segments is good. You can also crease it. Crease means like at the end of joint it becomes very sharp joint result, but I'm gonna not use crease. And when you hit OK, we can bridge between these boxes. Okay, and from here maybe you can move it up, or another face here up, you move it down, and you can make something interesting here. I'll copy up the same one, and we can use again bridge component here, bridge command, and my first phase, second phase, hit enter, and I can make it smooth degree, and you can continue to work on this kind of typology. So one more time, bridge, hit enter first one, and maybe I'll choose somewhere. I don't know if it's gonna make second one enter. Yeah, it makes, but you can see it's really long, and you can finish it. This is like inverged result. It's a bit difficult to modify, so I'll just undo. But basically you can bridge between any faces. So bridge again here, first one, second one, bridge, finish, and you can continue to make something interesting. Very organic shape. Okay. And let's imagine some area you want to sharpen it, not always smooth area. Then here we can use this add crease to sub the mesh, this one. Then we can select the edges where we want to give crease, and when you hit enter, you see this edges becomes a bit crease surface. Okay, so let's imagine we are designing the car body, which I want to add more the edge line, so we can use this insert edge loop, and you can add more edge of the selected direction, And in this case, let's say we want to make it a bit more interesting car body shape, something a bit more, and I'll add another loop. When it's closer to between them, then they give you even more interesting result. And I'll add one more here, and let's say here a bit, make it, and this part maybe I'll move it in, and maybe this point I'll take it out. I maybe take it out or in, and say this edge I can add crease, then you can have like this kind of sharp how to
Sharp
say?
edge.
Yeah. We don't see really well. It's like a car body, but when you look at environmental map again, here solid to surface and map environmental map, and maybe we can change this one to polished silver, or maybe silver is too shiny. Gold,
Brushed
silver,
silver.
brushed silver, and you can kind of I'll turn on. Yeah, we cannot do anything much here, but yeah, you can see. Okay, this car body here, I want to make it a bit more exaggerating, and maybe this point here, I'll move it in, so we can have like this kind of nice car body shape here. I don't know if it's
You can do everything.
maybe here this is a bit too much. Maybe we can move it in to make it smooth, and we can rotate a bit. So you can imagine we can really make anything, yeah. Or maybe Antonio, you since you are mechatronics, think about one part of the robot that you're designing.
Yeah, part of the robots or elements
Mm,
for the robots to create
yeah. Or
in
imagine that
both ways.
exactly. Imagine this is like folding like a I don't know MEP part that you have to manufacture. I don't know if it's ever possible, but yeah, things like this kind of surface you can make. And this is still sub D, so we can copy it. And what we can do eventually to NURB, we can change to NURB surface, and that's the final kind of geometry. We can use it for Revit or something later. Okay, maybe you can rationalize here. I know I don't like this part, for example, so you can maybe we can maybe delete this one, or we can change this one a bit. In people deleting, I can maybe change it here a bit to, or I don't like this basically this edge, so maybe you can delete and make another surface. I don't know. We have all this NURB surface tool, yeah, that we tried. Oof. Okay. Or maybe something like that. I don't know. Whatever you can imagine, we can change it. Mhm. And I think without using Rhino now, I remember maybe if you want to have this result now without using Grasshopper, what we can do is actually we can crease them all. Then we get the result. So let me go to sub D, and we add all the crease and every edges in here. Then this is actually creased geometry, right? Then when you now to NURB, then you get one of them has to be NURB. So when I type what, this is sub D, this is NURB. So you can show the ice curve, but this is NURB surface. So that's another technique. You can add crease for entire geometry. Then basically you get this kind of simplified model, and you can convert to NURB to play about it. Yeah. Sub D. Let me show you also some other interesting tools. So from the right view, I'm gonna use one of the layer, and let's draw the line. I'm going to draw grid snap one of the line here and another line, and maybe I'll connect it to midpoint. Maybe I can grow a bit just like a tree structure. Isn't it? Something like that. And now this line, we can use particular tool called multi-pipe. So sub D tool. I'm not sure if it's sub D tool. Let me go to new in Rhino. Wow, there are so many. let's go mesh tool. No, not mesh, sub D. I don't know where that tool is located, but you can use command multi-pipe, and you can select all the curves, hit enter, and we can give the radius of the pipe, maybe let's say 30 centimeter. 30 may be too big, but we can leave it. And I can cap the ends with on, and between the division I'll put just as default, and you can get this kind of pipe. I'll try again. Mouse right button, multi-pipe, select them all. Radius, let's make it to 0.15, and I'll take it off the cap, and you can have this kind of pipe. Okay. Maybe this could be interesting tool when you have to create some custom joint in structure. Let's say we have maybe curve that have to make this kind of particular structural element. Yeah.
Huh?
And in here we can select the point, maybe this point, and we can move it up a bit. And then eventually I can put another line in here from the top. Can extend it. Oops, I made mess. So where I'm not gonna snap it, grid snap, just straighten it and finish here. So we have this kind of pipe. We need to create this kind of structure, but a bit organic way. Then we can use this multi-pipe, and that's the result of that particular structural element.
Yeah.
And this we can convert it to basically to NURBS, and then when you have NURBS, this is the NURBS result. Okay.
And the reverse option.
Hmm?
So if we get some kind of this shape,
Mm-hmm.
can we easily transform it to lines?
To line, no, line was the input. So
Yeah, as I'm asking for reverse option maybe,
mm,
because sometimes I want maybe just to simplify it, just as a simple lines or some regular faces.
yeah, unfortunately there is no, but with the grasshopper we can actually extract the
Mid-
last edges and then find the center point, and then we can
Mhm.
connect them.
Connect them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the grasshopper will be certainly really powerful later when it comes to really complex modeling options. Okay. And there's also an amazing option. Let me show you from this pipe option. Let's say on the sub D we have here reflect sub D object. Okay, reflect. Do you see here reflect?
Yeah.
When you click, we can select like the reflecting axis. So for me, I'm interested in probably the reflecting axis of here, and we can choose that. Then you can see here we have a kind of division line with red color, which means now if I change one side, it will follow. I went too far, maybe. You see, it's kind of reflecting one side of editing
Mhm.
to the other. if I change from here, for example, to a bit, then both sides is updating. Yeah. Let me go here, one face I select and move it up. As you can see, we can create this kind of geometry. So if I can push it here, you can have really a lot of fun with this.
Yeah.
Yeah. We talked about metaverse sometimes, yeah. Now it's looks a bit unrealistic and funny for our occupation, but I think in the future we will maybe design digital building or infrastructure which we don't have to think about realistic material or structural property. We can design something that is for digital space, and in this case this kind of modeling option is kind of present. You can really make something fun, like something is unrealistic, but at the same time it makes some kind of sense for structural. If you are structural engineer, make some kind of sense for structural engineering also. I can add a bit of roof here, and you see when I add roof, opposite side is also adding. And I'll maybe move another one here and horizontal one here, and then we can probably add here another one, and I'll probably bridge it, this first phase and second phase, and we can control the number of, maybe too many, reduce, and smoothness we can control. It doesn't change much. Maybe we can increase it. No, doesn't make sense. Hit OK, and then you see we change it, and maybe you can move it to this this mode, and you can see the design. It keep changing, yeah. And once you are happy with this reflect, you can hit mouse right button on this reflect, remove sub the symmetry. Then this is like a kind of final geometry what you want to design.
Yeah, looks really powerful for someone for this modeling special elements. Yeah,
Yeah.
It's almost you can do almost anything.
Through some point, yeah, you can do almost anything. And I don't know, when you convert to NURB, we can take it out. If you compare again the geometrical value, they are almost same. I can hide the ice curve. It's kind of very good transition between them. We can cap them, then it's like complete solid object. Yeah. Here we couldn't cap, but probably we can patch it, or we can network surface. But yeah, we can patch it. That patch doesn't look good. Maybe I can do network surface. Yeah, this looks good. Yeah, something like that, and we can join them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, imagine this is like a kind of lighting fixture on your ceiling. I don't know.
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah. Before we finish, there is also another couple of useful tool in Rhino. We can select different faces. Yeah. For example, I can select face and double click, then this whole face is selected, and this color I can change it. Instead of default color, I can make it red. Oh, everything became red. Sorry. So this one, this display color, I'll change to red. Then this one, this is still same layer, but we only indicating that this color we change to different color, so we can you know, you know what you are doing. Sometimes it's handy when you change some surface, I mean the face color to different options, and you can see, okay, that's what I'm working on or something. Or another option is you could also save the selection, which is new in Rhino 7. If you go to sub-D tool and actually let me say save selection, no, cell save, okay, definitely Rhino, new in Rhino 7 somewhere. Somewhere I cannot find it. Maybe in let me go standard. Wait, let's maybe select. I don't know where they are. Give me a second. Surface of the mesh, sub-D tool, standard. No. Save on the save. We don't have. Cell. Check. Selection. 여보 제니. Isn't she crying? So I cannot find it. There are some useful tools that we can save actually the selection, but I cannot find it now. Maybe we can try next week or something. Yeah, at the moment I cannot find it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's really useful because you can find it, you can load it, like it's like in Revit you can save a selection filter, and then you can find it again and again.
Okay.
Maybe it's selection filter, I don't know. No, it's not selection filter. Yeah, we'll find out next time, but for now I forgot where it is. And last thing before we finish, one of the most interesting part is yeah, and probably we continue next week. Yeah, there are some more interesting part, but we will continue next week because the time is already I didn't know, but time is already over. But generally, what do you guys think? Is it useful for you, or is interesting some point?
Yeah, it is interesting.
Yeah, really interesting, I think.
Okay.
And depends. It could be very useful also. You know, not just interesting, because what did you say? If you're thinking a little bit out of the box,
yeah.
We should not focus us only on our part of branch.
Yeah.
Maybe if we go a little bit more deeper,
Yeah.
there's many useful places to
Exactly.
maybe play with these options and with this geometry.
Yeah. By the way, at the end I found out it's called named selection. So you can select, like I want to select all this as save it, and you know you can name it, and when you press again it gives you the selections.
Okay.
So it's called named selection command, which is useful. Yeah. Sometimes when you're dealing with a lot of complex, then this could be very yeah. I think we should really think about future role. Maybe we are going to be digital engineer or digital architect for some kind of digital spaces, you know. Maybe we don't really need to design any more physical space. Some point, maybe in 10 years, maybe we design more digital buildings. I don't know.
Probably.
Those that don't need ventilation and stuff. You want to kick us out?
You can design your ventilation like this, Antonio. Maybe human lung or something. Yeah. Okay. Thanks, guys, then today, and we'll continue next week. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks, Invo.
Thank
Great.
you. Then see you guys.
See you. Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.